Hello, welcome back. Okay, so video on pseudocode and style. So got a cute little picture here. This is actually a pseudocode format. It's called a flowchart. So you don't have to use a flowchart, but sometimes it helps get a feel for the flow of a program. So you can see here they start it. And is everything okay? Is it right, or do you want to do things right or fast? So if you want to do them fast, you're going to code fast. And does it work yet? No. And you're going to be stuck in this loop until it works. And here it says not quite works. It's almost, but it becomes a mass of kludges and spaghetti code because you wanted to do it fast and you didn't plan too much. So throw it out, start all over, and we're back up here. So this time we're going to do them right. So we're going to code well. Are we done yet? No. And we're going to stay here till we get it worked. And then if we're done, no, and the requirements have changed, so now we're going to throw it out. So if you notice over here, there's no real way to get to good code. So there is some truth to this. It is harder than you would think to get things up and running and working well, but again, you get a general flow for the code in this program. So one example I use is doing a linear equation. So you have y equals mx plus b, and you're supposed to write pseudocode that will, if a user gives, so given y equals mx plus b, you're supposed to give the x coordinate if you've been given a y coordinate, right? So we know m is slope, we know b is our y-intercept, and then x and y are all the ordered pairs on that line. So if someone gives me the y coordinate and I know m and I know b, I should be able to calculate x, right? So this is a somewhat simple math example, pretty simple algebraically, but in terms of making it work in a computer, so we want to think, okay, the pseudocode is usually written on paper, it is designed, and it's going to show step by step what the process is. And just taking a minute, it could even be that you do it as a comment in your code rather than on paper, but just taking a minute to think of the flow. What are the variables I might need? What's the input I'm going to get? What's the process, and what am I supposed to output? And so for this example, so we were here. For this example, this might be something that the pseudocode looks like. So it's pseudocode because some things look code-like. So this is definitely code-like. These are fine variable names for a linear equation. And here I'm shown what the input's going to be. And then down here, I want to format my output such that even though when I've found what x is, I'm showing that the xy pair is on this specific line. So the process of the code, after I declare these variables and get the input that I need, the process is to ask the user for the input, do the calculations, and then display the output. So this is a very simplistic example, right? But sometimes things can get pretty complex. And so thinking step by step what you need to do first. And so it's sort of you're in between English and code. So you want to be thinking what you're going to have to do in the code in terms of what kind of variables I'm going to make, right? And when I do the calculation to solve for x, this is what it's going to look like. Now, these parentheses are important, that kind of stuff, and so this is code-like. Rather than just saying solve for x, I am actually doing, the formula here so that I can translate it to code more easily. And then at the end, display the output, and I'm formatting what I want the output to look like. So that's a pseudocode example. And in addition, when you're doing planning, you want to think about test cases. So test cases are things that can test your code. And so you want to look for boundary values, 0, what if y, x, or b is 0? Is it going to break my program? I maybe want to try some positive values, some negative values. So it's a good idea to come up with some different test cases. This doesn't have very many negatives, but just some test cases so when you run it, you can see if this is my output, you can make sure that your program actually outputs that when you're done, because let's say you didn't plan too well and you left these parentheses off, and you forgot that that means it's going to do this division first and then subtract it from y. So then your output wouldn't be correct. And if you hadn't thought of some test cases ahead of time, you may not catch it. So that's just a process to think about in any program you write. Start from paper, get kind of an idea of what you're going to do, think about variables and output, have some test cases in mind, and then go and get started with the code. So for the first couple labs that you're going to be turning in, programming style is going to be part of the rubric. So just want to point some things out, just some little reminders on good programming style. So this is to help you and to help others and make your code more readable. So here's a good rule of thumb, is that you should imagine that the developer who comes after you is a homicidal maniac who knows where you live. So the point is, make it look good, make it look nice, make it look readable. And so one of the ways we make it readable is we use meaningful names. So if these variables are holding the values of a person's name and the temperature, don't call them A1, A2, and B. Call them first name, last name, temperature, or at least first, last, temp if you don't want them to be too long. So use descriptive names. Number 2, you want to use indentation, and I'm going to show you a shortcut pretty quickly. So whenever you have the curly braces, the code that follows that's inside should be indented. So we'll go look at, this was the program we did with user input. I wasn't quite prepared. So if I shrink that, it's a little too small, so let's see if we can get like that. So we are talking about indentation. So notice here, here's a curly brace, the next line is indented. Here's a curly brace, next line indented. So I want to show you this so that you can have a trick. So let's say you were typing your code and it was this wonky, and I'm going to move my screen down a little bit more. Normally you wouldn't have it this wonky, right? There's this button up here. If you hover over it, it says Generate CSD. If you click it, as long as you have a clean compile, as long as your code can compile, it will auto indent for you. So there's probably a hotkey too for auto indent. And then if you don't like these blue lines, they do get kind of irritating, the button right to the right removes it. And if you notice I have these line numbers, that's the third button. So you can toggle line numbers on and off. It can be easier to say, if you're trying to work with someone, say look at line 10, but you can also take them off. So again, it was the Generate CSD, and then you can take it off and notice that it auto indented for me. So it's a good practice. Anyone who wants to do Python programming, indents are required, so you might as well get used to them. And it does really help with readability, especially the bigger the program gets. Oh, and there's the hotkey right there, the F2. So we can go back here, and if the indents are bad, I can hit, oops, I went too far. I can hit my F2 now. Oh, that did my brightness. Oh, I'm on a Mac and I got to figure out how to do it. Nope. Oh dear. Never mind. So on a PC, F2. On a PC, F2 auto format, and Shift F2 to remove it. All right, next rule, white space. So when you have big calculations, lots of operations, put spaces between them. This is a little bit harder to see. than with the spaces in between. So use the white spaces in calculations between operators and the equal sign, and also use it between chunks of code. So here I have variables being declared, some math done, here's some output, here's another variable being declared. So if there's logical breaks, I think you've seen it in my code here, where I do kind of add some white spaces just to separate different concepts. So my calculations are separate from that. So that's a matter of preference, but it does make it a little more readable for other people. Another one is to add comments, and you've seen comments from the Carol work you've done. So adding comments at the top, and you're required now to have your name at the top of your code right above the class and your period. And it's good to have a description of the program too. So when you open up the program, you have a description right at the top as to what the program does. There's also end of line comments. You can put comments before methods, complex math calculations. So in my example here, this is not a complex math calculation. You can see I'm doing division. But if we went back to, not that one, that's not very complex either. Where was the spacing one? There we go. So, I mean, the naming of the variables can help you understand too. The formula. So here, I might guess you were converting from Fahrenheit to Celsius, but it couldn't hurt to add a little comment. So start thinking about comments. It will help you too when you go back to look at your code as well. So this is a program. It absolutely compiles and runs just as it is, no problem. But it's all kind of crammed, and it's a little hard to pull out the variables. And so in general, we like things spaced out a little bit more. So some of you might say, I don't know if this is better. It seems a little more confusing. But if I had to maintain your program, I would prefer this, because I don't have to guess. I don't have to guess if the age was in years or months. You never know. I don't have to guess if the height was in inches or centimeters. I'm going to know. And I also get kind of a description of the program at the top. So again, this is a small program, and our programs are going to get large quickly. And so the more we can organize and keep track of, helps you keep track of where closing braces are. So one last comment is that you will see here that there's a curly brace on its own line, and then it closes on its own line. Some people prefer this type of layout. An alternative is, as you see in here, where the curly brace, the opening brace, ends or starts at the end, so not on its own line, but these ones still are on, the closing braces are still on their own line. So that's really a matter of preference. Just be consistent. So consistency also helps with readability, that you're not switching from one mode to the other. So really take a look at your programs before you submit them on Sunday, and make sure you are hitting some of these programming style recommendations for readability, so you don't lose those couple of points. Okay, good luck.